Let me start out by saying this. I absolutely love Into the Radius. This game has gone from something that I didn't even know existed a week ago to now being one of my favorite VR games ever. Up there with games like Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx. Now, I really shouldn't be making this video. As of writing, I only have 8 hours in this game, and I don't even know most of the names of the enemies, but I feel like what makes Into the Radius so compelling and immersive, and honestly quite scary, is the unknown, which is why I highly advise if you have a VR headset and some money, you should go buy this game right now instead of watching this video. I don't want to ruin your experience with the unknown. See, Into the Radius isn't about shooting the Combine like in Half-Life Alyx, or avoiding null bodies like in Boneworks. Instead, you play as a stalker who's lost all of their memories and has to adventure into the post-apocalyptic Pechorsk exclusion zone. In there, you'll receive contracts to do things such as complete a challenge or retrieve something from a dangerous area, all while scavenging for supplies to help for exploring and surviving the deadly wasteland. But what makes this land so hostile is the Radius.
Oh my god.
The Radius is this giant black hole-looking thingy in the sky, which has spawned these anomalies and creatures and caused Pechorsk to become devoid of all life. Oh yeah, and look, my compass is always pointing at it. That's neat. Wandering into the exclusion zone without paying attention to your surroundings is a death sentence. And part of the reason why this game is so engaging is that the further you go into the Radius, the more anomalies and enemies you will encounter. And this comes back to the idea of not knowing what you're up against. And one last reminder, if what I described to you sounds like something you would enjoy and you have a VR headset, please go buy this game. I will be talking about all the things that I've discovered in this game, and I wouldn't want to spoil it for anyone. With that out of the way, let's go into the Radius. On your wrist, you got this little watch that can tell you the time, and there's a compass that always points towards the Radius. Underneath that is your health bar, a stamina bar, and a fatigue bar. Your health and stamina is pretty obvious. If you're hurt, the health goes down. If you're running, the stamina goes down. And the fatigue bar is how much you want to sleep. If you stay awake for too long, your character can't keep his eyes open as long. Your vision can get obstructed. Once it reaches the bottom, you just pass out. Or so the game has told me. I haven't actually tested this out yet. I don't want to die. Also has a hunger bar. Over time, whether through sleeping or just exploring for long periods of time, you'll start to get more hungry. And as you can see, the more hunger you have, the less stamina you can use. You can also find food in the exclusion zone, such as candy bars or cans of meat or pineapple, which you can put in your inventory, and that takes us onto the inventory system. When you reach over your left shoulder, you can grab a backpack where you store all the items you find out in the wild. There's no limit of stuff that you can put in, at least from my experience. But the more stuff you put in, the heavier you get, which makes you walk slower, as well as making your stamina deplete faster and charge slower. I really like this style of inventory, since it doesn't have any slots, and things just kind of float. You can arrange your backpack in a way that benefits you. Like, these flares are really big and take up a lot of space, but I can put it here so it's sticking out the side of the backpack, which takes up less space, and presenting me with an easy way to quickly grab it in a hurry. Oh, and when you kill an enemy, they have a chance to drop a core, which is different for each enemy type, although you don't see them immediately. See, you got this little beep device, which will start beeping when it detects a core nearby. It beeps faster the closer you get to the core, and once in range, you flash where you think the core is, and if it's there, the beepy device will reveal where it is, and you can pick it up and bring it home. You can also find unique cores in certain clusters of anomalies. Ready? When you go home, you got this little computer that you can use to take missions, such as getting 2 specific cores from an enemy or retrieving an item from a super dangerous part of the map. You can also use this computer to play cassette tapes that you find on the map, which can range from lore about the Radius and the exclusion zone to just really creepy music. And you also have this portable cassette player on your map, so you don't have to go home to play these. There's also this store at your base, which you can use to buy things like ammo, guns, food, equipment, and probably some more stuff. But a lot of the stuff is super overpriced, so you have to do the missions or sell some stuff if you want to get money to buy them. Also, this game is satisfying. It's got this type of feeling that everything is present. It's hard to describe, but if you've ever played a VR game like Boneworks or Half-Life Alyx, you know what I'm talking about. Your items are physically present, and the way you interact with the world, such as opening doors and holding objects, feels really nice. Also, I don't know why, but in games where you have low supplies and you have to scavenge for everything, it has this way of making your guns seem more, I don't know, satisfying. Like you might only have a rusty pistol and a half-empty clip, but you have to make sure every single one of your shots lands so you don't waste ammo, and it gives a lot more weight to each bullet. Not to mention, the amazing sound design and tactical feel of the weapons just adds to this whole satisfying feeling. Nice. Your guns also have durability. Shooting them, being damaged, or just over time, they can become more rusty and gross, which can cause jamming and false positives, and that can be really annoying in the heat of battle. You can put your weapons into a little repair box, but they cost money, which you might not want to spend or you just might not have enough. So you have an alternative. If your gun is less than 50% damaged, you can do this weirdly realistic and honestly kind of funny cleaning minigame, as long as you found the resources to do so. You have to spray your gun with this totally not WD-40 and scrub it down with a toothbrush. And this takes a second, because you actually have to scrub all the parts of your gun. Then, after that, if your gun is at 25% damaged or less, you can take this piece of toilet paper and stick it on the end of a rod to cram down the barrel of your gun and clean that. I kind of like this element of realism. It's kind of funny and it makes you care more for your equipment. Now, despite this game being called an atmospheric, single-player survival game, this game is a fucking horror game. Oh my god. Okay. Sorry. Let me explain why. When you first start out, you know absolutely nothing about this world other than the fact that there will be paranormal anomalies, but you don't know how they work. You're equipped with this little bag of probes which you can use to throw into anomalies to trigger them. Now, I don't know the names, so if you know, feel free to comment, but from what I've discovered, these ones right here are the most common. They're kind of invisible, and you really gotta keep an eye out, because the only sign you get of these is this little mirage effect in the center. You can throw a probe into these, and it'll show itself as these transparent fragments surrounding the mirage. If you walk into it, you get rapidly damaged and can die in seconds, especially if you get caught off guard and accidentally back up into one of these things. The second most common anomaly is these like lightning ball thingies. These ones are easier to spot since they always show as this pulsating ball, but if anything enters the radius of these, it'll send out a lightning strike towards the direction of that thing, which does a lot of damage. So unless you have full health, most of the time it will instantly kill you. But this game is evil. You don't see these until you've become familiar with the first anomaly, so your first instinct is to throw a probe into one of these, and since the probe enters in the same direction that you're in, it just shoots a lightning bolt directly at you and probably kills a lot of new players. But that's not even it. The more you progress into this game, the more weird shit you'll find around the map, like these white circles that scream at you and slow you down when you walk into it, giving players who accidentally stumbled into these a jump scare, as well as alerting nearby enemies. And these weird shapes that appear give me the creeps. I don't know what it is. They kind of look like eyes, but they change shape, and it's really creepy to me. And this stuff, which I think is called grass, reacts to light. So when you walk into it, it damages you, but if you shine a light onto it, it goes away and you can walk over it. But if you give it a few seconds, the grass will come back, so you have to be constantly shining the light on it if you want to walk over. There's also these anomalies, which is like electricity, and they shock whatever gets close to them. And then there's this ball of gas, which follows a path, and what the... the fuck? What the fuck? What is that? Oh god, what is that? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what this is, but I hate it. I hate it so much. And these are just the anomalies that I know of. There's probably more that I haven't seen or figured out yet. Learning how these anomalies work is really scary, but once you study their behavior, the more you learn about how to avoid dying by them, the better you get at surviving. But, yeah. These aren't the only hostile things in Pechorsk. Again, this game should be labeled as a horror game, because the surreal and crazy enemies you find in this game are genuinely terrifying. Let's start with the most basic enemy. These dudes appear the most. They're these translucent figures that just walk around. They aren't too bad to take care of since they die in 1 or 2 pistol shots, and they're kinda slow, but if you get snuck up on by a group of these while doing something like sorting your inventory, they can catch you off guard and get a few hits on you. The best way to deal with these guys is just to run at them with a knife in your hand extended towards them since they die in 1 knife hit. The next enemy are these dudes with the long arms. They're kind of similar to the first enemy, but they're a lot more opaque, and their long arms let them attack you from farther away, although not by a lot. They have a little bit more health than the other dudes, but when you do enough damage to them, they goop out and reveal a core inside of them, which you need to then damage to kill them. Otherwise, after a while, they reform and continue to hunt you. I found the best way to deal with these guys is to shoot them with your pistol, and then once they goop, stab the core with a knife to preserve ammo. Now, this next enemy is where the game decides to show its difficulty, and also one of the 2 enemies I know by name. It's called the Spawn. These noodle dudes scurry along the exclusion zone hunting for prey. They are fast, and also small, so they're kind of hard to see. But when they notice you, they start barreling towards you. I find that this moment of them running at you in a straight line is the best time to shoot at them since they don't strafe, and you don't have to worry about dodging them yet. But if you don't manage to kill them before they get to you, it becomes a bit more of a challenge. These dudes will lunge at you and do some serious damage. When you face these guys for the first time, it's kind of scary to have this hideous noodle blob throw itself at you. But I've learned that before they lunge at you, they sort of pause, and it's at this moment you need to step to the side so that you can avoid being hit. The next enemy are mimics. It's the second enemy I know by name. These are creatures who have mimicked the form of a soldier, and it's this game's way of having enemies that shoot back at you. They aren't the smartest, but they have really good vision, and most of the time, they see you first, which means I'll be walking, and all of a sudden, I'll hear a gunshot whiz past my head, and immediately run to cover. I don't know about you, but being shot at is scary. When you kill these guys, they make a loud screeching noise, which is really unsettling, and... Wait, what the f... Oh, whoa! Nope. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to describe what that is. I don't even know. All in all, this game is fun. It's challenging and scary, but coming home after a successful mission with new supplies and some spending money for ammo, and maybe that new gun, is such a nice feeling. If for some reason you have a VR headset and you still watch this video without buying the game and playing it for yourself, I hope now I've convinced you, even though I kind of spoiled some things. The game's ambience, the environment, the mechanics, they all work so well together, and it makes such an immersive, creepy, and fun game to play. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it is kind of different from everything else that I make on this channel, but hey, I can do whatever I want. Yeah, thanks for watching.